Alright, well, today's food is going to be pretty simple. Just some rice. Which is always interesting because it's rice. No, it's interesting because it's one of those things you can buy like a gigantic bag of rice and then you can almost like measure your life and how much rice is left. I think I bought like a 50-pound bag of rice when I was in college, and it was like right near the end of college. And so when I moved down to California for my first job, like my dad helped me move, and we moved this giant bag of rice down there. And 2 years later, when I then like moved again, well, I guess 3 years later when I moved to San Diego, with the same damn bag of rice. It's 50-pound bag of rice, but only had like 10 pounds of rice in it. My dad's just like, I remember that bag of rice. I remember it was a lot bigger than that. Anyway, I'm gonna have to eat some of this. So if anybody has any questions or anything while I'm kind of eating, I can probably easily answer them. There's a bug in their breakpoint, like how they implemented it, where they're like ticking stuff wrong with the debugger. Interesting. Well, good. How'd you figure that out? That's a pretty good idea, actually, to kind of halt the program there. Yeah, I would not have thought of that. Now, do you know if it's like a bug with the actual breakpoint, or you think it's just something else? Because I would imagine maybe the breakpoint is there, halting the flow of the execution of the program, and there's something else that might be flushing some sort of buffer to something. But I don't know. I'll have to figure out what the definition of correct for that behavior would be, with if the breakpoint stops after execution or halts at some point. I don't know. Because you'd expect, like with some sort of debugging system, you'd be like running the program and capturing C in and C out and piping it somehow. Or I don't know. I haven't written like a remote debugger program for another process, but I could definitely see having like a loop or something else which snags the input and then prints it out to the console window, and then having something with a breakpoint that actually kind of just halts all that sort of stuff so you don't actually snag it and throw it into the output window. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. You said you were gonna mess around with Visual Studio. Did you run in Visual Studio and see it actually work, or did you just you know paint the wall with blood with VS Code until it worked? Alright, yeah, I think I'll be getting back to this. So I'm thinking what I should do is I should make some objects here I need to detect. What you doing? Hello, Randy Pixler, 1995. Randy Pixler, yeah, there we go. What am I up to? I am working on... Oh, basically, we're trying to come up with a good water system for our game. This game, Dashkin. So what we did is, it's been like over a course of a week here or something, or 2 weeks or whatever, working on this water system. But the idea is that we could basically plop down one of these water objects, and we're going to have various textures. Like, this is the distance from shore map for these sorts of things. And it's not correct right now because I need to remake it. So we have all this data that we're gathering right now. Like, we've got our height map, which has in the A channel, it has the distance, and the R, G, and B channels are normals for the stuff under it. So you can like look right here and you're like, what's all that garbage? And it's like, well, there's actually just garbage under here. And then we're working on our flow field for our water. So basically we're getting all this information together so that we're inside of our water material. The shader will be able to access all this information on a per pixel level. So we're going to know how fast the water is supposed to flow at this point and all this. And this is all pre-computed, so kind of at runtime you can move noise, textures, and other stuff over it. But you'll have all the data you need to have, like, here's some ripples on shore. This area should have rapids, and you can filter that in and out. And since we have all like the flow data, we can also reference it at runtime for the object that's on the water itself. So if we had like some little fat critter that was floating down the stream, we could totally just read the pixel where he is and say like, oh, well, I'm supposed to float in this direction. So we're getting all this information together so that we can have some, some cool looking water in our game, as opposed to a whole bunch of fake water. I mean, it's still going to be fake water, but it's less fake water. It's like fake water with a trademark on it. And like spelled wrong. It's like, it's not spelled F-A-K-E, it's like spelled F-A-E-K. Like fake water. I just got done eating, so I need to figure out kind of what I'm doing here. Yeah, that's that's exactly right, Karakan. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is detect the inputs and outputs for the waterfalls in the scene based on what is in the scene. Alright, so I think we want like our test water, we want like an object that we can add. So let's see, I want a new blueprint, I think. And it's going to be based on an actor. And let's have it be, let's just call it water object. So let's snag this thing, and can I add a box trigger? Like, what is this box trigger object over here? It's got a collision component. Alright, well, let's see. So we have our box, and I guess maybe we also got like a sphere collision? Yeah. Alright, so if we call this thing a water object, let's see here. So we have these components. I think we're going to want like a checkbox here for use box. And then we're going to want like a radius. And then we want like maybe a width and height. Can I get an F vector 2D in here? So I'll do like extents. I mean, maybe I can have a vector 3D here. Let's see what sort of things we've got here. Extent values. Yeah, I don't like this sort of thing. I kind of want this to be like a width and height sort of arrangement here, because I want to, basically I want to throw this thing down there. I want to like check it or uncheck it for like box or sphere, and I want like a slider I can drag to like make it bigger and smaller. And I could use the scale tools or whatever, but I don't really feel like it. I think this might be a little bit easier to mess with. Anyway, it's an experiment. I want to try it. Alright, we're going to use width and height, and we're going to have a we're going to want a type for this object, like a what kind of water object it actually is. Why are we compiling warnings? There are no more warnings. Alright. So I kind of want a water enum object for this thing, or an object type. So let's just go ahead and like save this thing. Let's add an enum that we can access inside of blueprints. Where's a good example of that? I think in my generated code I've got some like the... Yeah, we'll add a new enum here inside of our maputils.h. And we're going to have these water flow object type, and it'll be WFO unknown, WFO input, WFO output, and we'll have WFO repulse. Alright, so that'll be unknown, input, output, and repulse. Alright, so let's compile that out there real quick. Well, let's actually go to our map utils and just assign this thing. Let's see. So you're saying, what do you think about making your own game engine? Let's say 2D engine. Do you think your own engine for specific tasks is better than a heavy pre-built engine? Well, it depends on the scope of the game and what you intend to do with it. I'd say right now, like if you're looking at like Unity and Unreal for a 2D game, getting a 2D game to work properly inside of there is, they're 3D engines, so it's going to be difficult regardless. I would say build your own engine only if you are making a smaller project. Let's say like a hack day project or something like that. Good candidate for kind of building your own stuff. It's good to build your own engine at least once if you've never done it before. It's an extremely... It's a really good way to make sure you know what the hell you're doing. Like, yeah, you need input, output, audio, all your graphics stuff, your model loading, everything. You can't fake it. You have to go build it, right? You can't just rely on something else. So if I was making a small game right now, let's say I was making a web-based game, or I was just making a small 2D game inside of, and I wanted to run it on Windows, and I wanted to make like a game that maybe my friends and I could play, or something simple, I'd probably go with like WebKit, get a WebKit web browser window running on like whatever platform I wanted, write the whole thing in JavaScript, and I'd probably roll most of it myself. Just like, all you have to do is call, draw, sprite, and all that crap, and that's pretty easy and successful. If you're making like a larger project, I would consider going for an engine. If it's like a six month project, I'd use an engine if you are familiar with that engine. If it's a longer term project, like a year or something, I'd say definitely use an engine, even if you didn't know it that well. But if it's like a 6 month project and you're not super on board with any engine and you're not super interested in learning it, you might have more success making your own stuff if it's a small thing. The Godot engine? Unity works pretty well for 2D stuff. I mean, I'd say it needed less shims than Unreal has. We've shimmed out a whole bunch of stuff for Unreal. Their Paper 2D plugin is just like trash. So we had to extend a whole lot of it. It didn't even have animation events. Like, what the hell is that? The Godot engine? I don't think I've looked at that. Beta release for Python support. Oh god, I would not want to make a game in Python. Yeah, I would say, the only real reasons to roll your own engine are education, and if you already know what you're doing and it's a small enough project where you don't want to have to go learn a whole engine to get it working, right? Like, if it's a small enough project, who cares? You're not going to need a whole bunch of advanced features, and if you don't already know the engine, you're going to spend all the time learning the engine instead of actually writing your game code. So I say there's arguments for all sides. And it's all situational. Alright, we are going to want the type. So object type. And this should be water object type. And the object type should be, by default, unknown. Yeah, that works. So box collider and scene collider. Alright, so in construction script, let's start using some of this stuff. So, okay, let's see. If this is a box or a sphere object. Default value is false, radius Let's just give it a radius of 10, or a radius of 1,000 actually sounds more reasonable. Width of 1,000, height of 1,000. Let's give the slider some defaults that make sense, like 1 to, like 10,000. Width here again, like 1 to 10,000. Object type, yeah, we need to expose this one. You can develop in C++. That's cool. But I mean, if you're making like a full 2D game and it's not like huge and massive, I mean, the reason why we picked Unreal is, first and foremost is, all the technology that Unreal has for material shading, lighting, and all that is really what we thought that was really important. And this is going to be the y-axis. The height. So we're going to need width, height, and depth. Let's just throw this all in like the height of the object, x-axis. This will be the z-axis. Alright, so we're going to need all these things. I'm going to make a category of size. We'll throw that sort of stuff in here. I'm going to see if it's easier just to kind of mess around with these things on the sliders here, because doing like a slider with some of these, like, I don't see it really working out too well. With these sliders on these objects are kind of eh. Want a little bit more control, just to make it simple and easy to use in the editor. Alright, so we got this. We're going to want a name for this as well. I mean, we could have just a name for the object, but I'm not too worried about it. Alright, so we'll get all this going here. So we have the type, we got the size and everything else. Alright, so what we're going to want to do here is alright, so if use box, let's see, is there some sort of visible? Yeah, I guess we'll want to change the visibility of this object. Alright, so if we're supposed to use the box, then set visibility, or maybe I can just, I don't even have to use branches, I can just do set visibility to the knot of this. So the construction script for blueprints I find is pretty handy. because it gets run all the time, and that way people can mess around with variables and do all sorts of cool stuff. Alright, so what we're going to want to do is so we'll grab this. Can we set the set radius? Yeah, set sphere radius. Snag that, chuck it in there, good to go. So can we like set the extents? Set box extent? Yeah, okay, here we this is better. We don't need overlap checks and all that sort of stuff. These things are going to be garbage down. So let's say make vector. Alright, so the width is going to be the y, the height is going to be the x, and the depth is going to be the z. Can I lock the rotation of this thing? Well, let's just say don't change it. How about that? Should we take the scale into account? I don't think so. I think the scale should not do anything to this value. Actually, that's not really a great idea. If we attach this to like another blueprint object. Can we make this whole thing a component? Let's just compile it and save it, and let's see if we can reparent it. Like if we can parent it off of like scene component. No, it's not really doing what I want. Alright, so we'll set our collisions, set all that sort of stuff. Our visibility is set. We've got our name and everything. Let's see what it looks like. So what we would do with this thing is we could change the radius, like so. We could toggle it to being a box, change the width, change the height, and change the depth. And the type, like repulse or output or input. So we put these into the scene, and then we could detect them and do all that sort of stuff with it. Would we want to rotate these things? I guess the rotations would work. And I think, yeah, we definitely want some sort of rotations coming on and working with these things. Alright, so rotations need to come into work. And we have a name in here which we can use as well. So if we have this collider here, we got the sphere collider, its collision is overlap all dynamic. I mean, we could just set it to like no collision, right? And then we can kind of use our own ways to discover it. Is there some sort of flag where this is like editor only? The component will be excluded from non-editor builds. Yeah, that's what we want. Alright, so if we go to these guys, I mean the entire object itself needs to have only editor. Let me just Google that real quick. I need an editor only actor in Unreal. Is there a way for editor only actors? That's so stupid. I love this. I love this. There's like this whole conversation between this guy and like a member of the Unreal staff, and this guy just, the staff guy just like isn't answering the damn question. It's like, I want an actor that's in the editor only, and he's like, okay, well just put pound if with editor around your code and you'll be fine. He's like, no, I want an actor in the game that's like only in the editor. And he's just like, well, what are you trying to do? He's like, trying to do this AI thing. And then the guy gives him like the documentation for how to use the AI stuff for Unreal. And it's like, you didn't answer the question. It's like, you could try using the pound if with editor wrapper and an actor class. Yeah, that's so dumb. Like, that's not the same thing. I kind of doubt that wrapping the blueprint into an if editor will be useful. I like some of this. I hope Epic Games will start to deliver complete features someday. Oh, it's fucking funny. Alright, so we cannot have an editor-only actor, is what I'm seeing. So if we throw these things in here, these water objects are going to exist inside of the level. I'm not going to worry too much about that. Let's just set these things to no collision. Well, no, I mean, let's see. Yeah, overlap all dynamic is fine, and we want to just set these as editor-only components for these things. And sure, we'll have an empty actor with absolutely nothing on it. That's not gonna piss me off. That's totally fine. So the other question would be, instead of having water objects that are, yeah, we want global water objects, just because we do. I'd also like a button. All right, write this down. 4. Create button. Actually, let's do this after here. So, create button on water, which creates a water input / output actor nicely for us. Oh, we'd probably also want a kind of a water. Oh, we can solve some of that later. Alright, so what we need to do is get owner, and we need to add tag. Is there no way to add tag in blueprints? Does Unreal force you to use more object-oriented style? Well, I mean, everything in the scene is an actor, and then that actor you can derive and have child actor types and everything. And then on those actors you have a list of components. So like this is a water object, which is just an actor with a default scene root component, which means it has a position. And then under that position component, we've got some collider components. So yeah, it forces you to use object-oriented styles on stuff like that, and the component system. I mean, it forces you to use the component system. You can always just use inheritance if you want, but it allows both. So it's not like you have to use components for all your crap. You could totally make an actor that has all the stuff on there you really want. But I think you're going to have to do it in C++ land. Though you might not have to. You can probably mess with the actor itself and use the event graph on whatever, and I think you can do it. You can do it in blueprints too. So they give you, I think, most of the guns, so you can blow your leg off if you really want to. So can I add a tag to an actor in blueprint? Okay, here we go. Tags are right here inside of this, so I don't have to do this crazy stuff. I'm gonna have a water object tag. So I think that'll let us do everything we want. Now the question is, how do we actually access the variables on this thing at runtime? Let's take a look at that. Access blueprint variables from C++. You can access your blueprint variables from C++, but it's tedious. I would instead suggest that you move these variables to native instead. Then you won't accidentally rename a variable that C++ uses. So you can call cast UN. You can get a property. Like okay, so you can get property lists of view properties. Kind of use the reflection system to read blueprint variables out in C++ land. So if I'm going to add water objects to this thing, I'm going to have the blueprint feed them all in. Alright, well let's take a look at this. What would this look like then? So gather water objects would have to be something that I do inside of a blueprint. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I don't really want to. I mean, I could set tags on everything and then use the extents of the object. Ugh. I mean, I just want to like read these variables out in C++ land, but because we're in C++ land, we can't access any of these things. I'd have to make the water object a C++ water object component thing in order to actually use this. That's just, it's kind of gross. Well, I could make a component here that I attach here that's like that exposes the variables to C++ land. So why don't we do that? I basically need a component that's like a blueprint implementable component. And I think the AI stuff that I've got kind of does this. Yeah, it's like we're using these blueprint function things on here. So I might be able to just do that. You beat Breath of the Wild. Lucas, good job. That's pretty cool. How long did it take you to beat it start to finish? So we need a blueprint component. Let's see. Except that. Let's see. It's U water flow object component. Which I guess is a U actor component. Yeah. That's not bad. So we want to make this a blueprint native event. Um, let's see if I can just category water. Alright, so we're gonna have, what are we gonna have? The is box. I mean, could these be functions? I mean, could these be properties instead of functions? And that might be better. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. Well, that's pretty cool. I'll have to get a Switch at some point and actually play that game. Yeah, let's just make this dead stupid. Like I don't really care about it. Yeah, we'll get the U primitive, so like get the primitive component. We don't really need that though. We're gonna want to get the type and get name. So I have get extends, get radius. We'll have if box. Get name and all that stuff. Yeah, it'll be fine. So we'll just implement this thing. So we should be able to make a component on here, and then it's going to force us to override a whole bunch of stuff in here. And then we can like reach out and snag those variables. Or maybe I should have this be an actor. Might be better to have this be an actor. Yeah, I think having this be an actor might actually be a better idea. That way we will get these as events that we can snag for everything. That'd be alright. And it's not a blueprint spawnable component, it's a